Hello and welcome to Burning Issues, the only program that provides you with a regular glimpse inside the Wichita Fire Department. I am Interim Deputy Chief Tammy Snow, and in this episode we will talk about the importance of firefighter training and the Regional Training School, Wichita HoT. The Wichita Fire Department is continually recognized as one of the best trained fire departments in the country. Many of our members have taught fire-related classes at some of the most prestigious training academies in the country. Joining me today are two members. Each has taught classes at the state and national level, but what really makes them stand out is they have brought their skills and knowledge back to Wichita to the benefit of the entire region in the form of the Fire School, Wichita HoT. Hi, gentlemen. Could you please introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about yourself and your personal history in the Wichita Fire Department?
I'm firefighter Mark Mishek. I have approximately a little over 13 years of experience in the fire service, with the last 7 of it being with Wichita Fire Department. I've spent the majority of my career working downtown at Firehouse 1. I'm also a member of the Hazardous Materials Response Team for Wichita Fire Department, and I spent a year in Wichita Fire Department's training division assisting with recruit academies.
I'm Lieutenant Keith Neiman, currently assigned to Truck 1 downtown Wichita. I've got 12 years of service with Wichita Fire Department, about 18 in the fire service. Also assigned to the Hazardous Materials Team, and also one of the founding members of the Wichita Metro Fools Laws, and on the e-board and one of the instructors for them.
Well, it's great to have you both with us today. I know each of you have dedicated a lot of your off-duty time teaching and training across the United States. Can you tell us how those experiences benefit both the citizens of Wichita and also the Wichita firefighters?
Firefighters are tasked with a lot of work and training while on duty, and so a lot of times in order for us to kind of keep our edge and keep proficient at skills and what's going on in the fire service around the country, many times we do have to attend training sessions on our own time, just so that we can maintain that proficiency as well as provide that level of service to the citizens. And so in turn, when we do that, we can then bring that information back and share that with our other members of the company, and thus improving our level of service to the citizens.
Yeah, and if you get to travel outside of our city to other departments, kind of get you out of your comfort zone a little bit. You kind of get some of those problems that our department may share. Maybe they've found some experiences, some different perspectives on how to deal with those problems, as well as maybe some problems we haven't really ran into yet with our department that are probably down the road.
Is some of your training based on just industry because of the changing, like construction sites and so forth? I know that the way that they constructed houses back in the 1930s isn't the same way as they constructed houses in the 70s, and also how they construct houses today. So I'm sure a lot of your training, just to try to keep up on those types of changes within the industries, probably makes it so that you have to continually train.
It does, and the thing that is unique about the fire service is that what our responsibility and what our job is constantly evolving. You know, in the 1970s, early 1980s, we got into more technical rescue response, high angle, collapse, trench, things like that. And in the 80s, we developed more into hazardous materials response. And then now you have the response to terrorism. So the job continually evolves. And so, you know, even at the end of the day, we do respond to fires and we do put out fires, but on top of that, we do the medical emergencies. On top of that, we do the hazardous materials. On top of that, we do the rescue, and pretty much anything else. It kind of becomes a jack of all trades. So as everything industry develops throughout the United States, we have to continue to increase our skills and our knowledge levels in all those different disciplines so that we're prepared to help the citizens when they need us.
And it's not just the industries, but isn't a lot of your tools change from time to time also?
Right, and as you know, new products hit the market, they're expensive, and a lot of times may not be the first department to have them, but if you travel somewhere that's using a certain piece of equipment, maybe they love it or maybe they hate it, you know, sometimes it can help us recommend stuff, and sometimes it can help us avoid stuff that our departments have found didn't work for them and maybe wasn't the best use of the resources.
Mark, tell us a little bit about Wichita HoT, and what does the acronym HoT, H-O-T, stand for?
Wichita HoT started a little over 6 years ago, and as a firefighter, and because of how much we're tasked with on our daily duties, it becomes very challenging for firefighters to get good quality hands-on training, and that's what the acronym stands for, hands-on training. And so several of the members of Wichita Metro Area Fools of Oz and several of our instructors within the training division kind of all got together and tried to facilitate a school that would give not only our members but other firefighters from around the region the opportunity to do some of that hands-on training that can be so difficult to try to coordinate on the company level, especially with all the other assignments and responses we have to make throughout the day.
Keith, why is training so important to firefighters and the residents they protect?
Well, the hands-on training is kind of its own unique animal. The lecture training is pretty easy to do. You can get that online. You can find it pretty well everywhere in the state. But the hands-on training is a little harder. It's a little harder logistically to coordinate, a little harder to find instructors to do it, and it's hard to find the equipment to, a lot of departments are using the equipment they have. They really just can't loan it out for places to train with. But a lot of what we do, especially in firefighting, is rapid decision-making with limited information. And one of the ways you can overcome that is through muscle memory, and the only way to build that muscle memory is getting your hands on the equipment, being allowed to do it over and over again until it just becomes second nature. So instead of thinking about the actual task you're completing, you're able to kind of look at the big picture and kind of take in a little bit of information you get to make good decisions. So it kind of benefits our own safety as well as citizen safety in that mean.
Mark, Wichita HoT has a regional reach. How many firefighters participate in this annual training each year, and what are some of the types of things that they learn?
Typically our enrollment varies somewhere between 150 to 200 firefighters from around the region. Most of the attendees are from the state of Kansas, state of Oklahoma, Missouri, Nebraska, Colorado, kind of the surrounding states. We've had firefighters from as far away as Florida come and attend this training. And it predominantly focuses on some of those fundamental skills that we respond to and deal with on our regular structure fires, what would be classified as like engine company operations, pulling initial hose lines and putting water on the fire, water supplies, which is providing water to support that fire attack, our truck company operations, which encompasses ventilation, search and rescue, other fire ground supporting roles. It really is a school geared towards the fundamental skills that we use on our regular structure fires. But on top of that, we try to bring in outside instruction every year. So not only do we learn what our firefighters from Wichita have experienced, but we draw on experiences from firefighters from other parts of the country, whether it be the East Coast with District of Columbia, FDNY in New York, or all the way to the opposite end of the spectrum. We have a gentleman from Seattle coming in this year to teach one of his very popular nationally recognized classes on hose line work, which just gives you and equips you to deal with all those variables that we deal with on structure fires as far as advancing hose lines and putting them in service.
Lieutenant Neiman, are these classes offered anywhere in the country? And what about the fees compared to other similar training?
Yeah, it is offered in other places in the country. A couple of things that make the Wichita special is the access. Typically, like you mentioned, the Seattle guy that does nozzle forward, that's a standalone class. If you go take it somewhere, you travel and you take that class. Where Wichita HoT, we have that class. We also have another engine class with a different perspective. There's a ventilation or a truck company class. So it's kind of a real broad spectrum of classes all in one location. So if a department wants to send multiple members, they can send them and not just have everybody take the same class. They can send a couple guys to one class, a couple guys to another class, and they can bring back those multiple points of information to pass on their department. One of the things we've strived to do with Wichita HoT is bring in nationally recognized instructors, which we've done the last 3 or 4 years, and teaching what's considered our industry's best practices. So that's kind of nice too. It's not something out from left field. It's what is kind of considered the best practice. A lot of these guys not only instruct nationally, but they also write for national publications like Fire Engineering, Urban Firefighter, and they also instruct at FDIC, which is a really big conference in Indianapolis every year. The main difference is if you don't get FDIC, you're looking anywhere from $500 to $1,000 to attend, where Wichita HoT you're looking between $35 and $70. So for the departments to send somebody, it's considerably cheaper.
And you talk about FDIC. What does the acronyms FDIC stand for?
FDIC is the Fire Department Instructors Conference. It's basically the largest instructors conference in the United States. Brings in tens of thousands of instructors into Indianapolis every year. And it's kind of like this. Instructors get to meet each other, kind of make contacts. Students get to meet the instructors and make contacts. And a lot of the people we brought back, a lot of the instructors are people we've met at these conferences and get a chance to talk to them. And most of them are gracious enough to come down here for a small free, some of them for nothing, other than a ride to the city and a ride back home, and teach these classes. So that's one of the ways we've been able to keep our costs down.
So in other words, what you're saying is that Wichita HoT is just kind of a 2-day FDIC.
Yeah, we try. It's like a little taste of FDIC. It's a little smaller scale, obviously, because it's only 2 days instead of a week. We have 10 to 12 classes going on during those 2 days as opposed to 20 or 30. But in our mind, we kind of try to get the best of FDIC, the classes we enjoyed the most, or the stuff classes we thought we learned the most out of. We try to bring back to here. Contact the instructors, see if they'd come do that here. And so far, we've been pretty successful. We've had a large number, 4 or 5 last year, a couple this year. They're FDIC instructors showing up and doing classes for us. So I said, you're comparing at the low end 500 to our low end of $35. It's a great bargain. And even if you want to do a standalone class, I know the nozzle forward class often is a couple $100 class. In other places, if you go take it, because they got to pay to fly the guys in, pay to fly them home. The costs associated with it. We've been able to keep a lot of those low by all the volunteer work we get from different members of our department and the local organizations.
Mark, what's the format of this year's HoT?
It is a 2-day program, and we start out on our Saturday program, and basically we have a keynote speaker, a gentleman by the name of Lieutenant Bob Pressler, retired firefighter from FDNY, and he's doing a keynote speech the morning of Saturday. And then after he finishes up, we break out in what we call breakout sessions. And we have a breakout session in the morning, then we have 2 more in the afternoon. And basically the breakouts are kind of a buffet of classes. For each hour and 45-minute block, there's 4 or 5 lecture classes available. And students that have enrolled, they get to attend whichever ones they want. They don't have to actually select a class. We let students come into whichever one they want to listen in on until the room is full and close the door, and then they get to partake in that class. And it follows a similar format that FDIC does have, which is they have a breakout session as well. Nice thing about that is if I'm coming in to, I really want to emphasize taking engine company classes for say, I can take 1 or 2 breakouts that relate to that particular subject matter, but still jump into another breakout session that gives me something different. Sunday is all hands-on training. So our Sunday format is, we have the keynote lecture and breakout session Saturday, Sunday morning. You go to your respective class site and you spend all day Sunday doing nothing but hands-on training. So again, it gives the students the opportunity to get some good quality hands-on training, but also get a day's worth of selecting other classes that they may want to sit in on.
Say another thing too, this is kind of integrated in that is with that money, you're also getting, for the most part, meals. A lot of times lunches are provided on Sunday. We have vendors there both days for the departments that are looking to buy different equipment. A lot of things we found is that like small departments that come to the Wichita HoT don't have the budgets to buy equipment. So they don't have a budget to try out equipment, see what they like. Like we said about traveling for our department, seeing what different places like to use. They come in, they can use the tools that we have available to them, see if they like it, don't like it, and if they do, then contact the vendors while they're there and get pricing and kind of make those contacts. On Saturday night, there's also a social event, which we set up that way on purpose as well. One of the things we found with FDIC we liked was in the evenings you were free to go around and talk to people. That's how we met those instructors, how we got to bring them into the Wichita HoT. If their department wants to bring this training to their town, they can meet the instructors as well, talk to them and see about bringing these instructors back, doing it locally for their class, see if it's something they'd be willing to do. So there's kind of a couple other little neat things built into the HoT that you don't really get at a lot of the other fire conferences around this area anyway.
Both of you talked about partners or bringing in nationally recognized instructors. How important is that to HoT?
I think it's absolutely critical. I mean, HoT is one of those things that we want to keep it evolving. We want to keep it fresh. As the fire service evolves, as new firefighters enter the service, as other firefighters that have been a part of the service get more experience, there's always new tips and tricks and tools that are associated with this trade. And so, keeping new instructors coming in really diversifies what we learn as firefighters and keeps us to having a good edge. I've always kind of taken the perspective when looking around the country that if I attend a class anywhere else, I'm going to learn one of 3 things. I'm either going to learn something that gives me another option to what I normally would do on the fire ground here in Wichita. I learn something that's a better way of doing how we operate here in Wichita, or I reinforce why we do things the way we do in Wichita. All of those are good things. And so I think it's very important to not get stuck inside your box and only worry about what's going on here, because a lot of the problems we face in Wichita you find in Cleveland, you find them in Colorado Springs, you find them in Phoenix. They're really fire service wide, and the reality is the more heads you have thinking about the problem, the more likely it is you're going to find the solution. So having those other instructors from around the country really benefits us and gives us a lot better opportunities to solve some of the problems we have that we think are just local problems but really affect the entire service.
This is Wichita HoT's 6th year. What corresponding successes or return on investment of used resources can be directly attributed to HoT?
Putting a monetary number to it is kind of difficult, but one thing that HoT does do is it's kind of twofold. Like Lieutenant Neiman mentioned, we have the ability, because we've networked with a lot of these instructors, to bring in what normally would be very expensive training for our members at a much more affordable rate. Again, the fact that the 2-day class for Saturday and Sunday is $60. One of our members, we could send 10 members for the same cost as what it would take to send one of them to FDIC, and they're still getting the same material. So it's a huge cost savings for our members. Another thing, kind of an abstract thing that is a benefit to us as well, is our members get to network and teach alongside these other instructors. So as far as the future of the Wichita Fire Department, there's a lot of officer and instructor development that occurs because of Wichita HoT. They get the opportunity to work with nationally recognized instructors, hopefully pick up some tips and tricks, and then they get to pass that information on to our own members, thus developing them as instructors and as company officers. And you can see that in the fact that we've had several of our members have taught at the FDIC in the last few years, and that's something that was not heard of 10 years ago. So, just being around that environment and networking with these other instructors really brings all of us up to another level.
Well, that's fantastic to know that some of our members have actually taught at FDIC. That's all based on these relationships that they've developed through HoT. I understand with HoT, it's such a large training event in Wichita. How does it enhance the Wichita Fire Department's status and reputation? You kind of alluded to it a little bit when you were talking about the partnerships that you and the networking that they've made, that you gentlemen have made by attending FDIC. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Yeah,
we travel out of town, like I said, to Indy, to FDIC, or actually any place we travel to and talk to guys. A lot of people have at least trained with some of our people or know somebody that came down to the HoT and helped instruct the HoT and had a great time. Most of our instructors, when we have them teach the HoT, are trying to contact us partway through the year to ask about next year. Can they come down this year and teach? Do we have a spot available for them? Which says something. These guys travel over the country and get instruct, and every time we see them or get to talk to them, they're asking if they can come back and instruct here again. So I think that says a little something about our people and how we handle ourselves. And like I said, our guys teaching at FDIC helps our stature as well. It shows that we're able to pass on information to other departments even bigger than ours, and then what we have saying is worth listening to. So.
Another thing that as far as recognition, especially regionally, a lot of the members that are involved with Wichita HoT are also members of the Fools of Oz. And Keith and I both started out in the volunteer side of things, where it's much harder to get good quality training. There isn't a training budget. Literally it's whoever shows up on drill night tries to come up with something productive. And what Wichita HoT has also done is it's brought in all these smaller department firefighters into Wichita, got them some good hands-on training, but thanks to things like the social night and stuff like that, they've been able to network with some of our instructors, which has involved more Wichita firefighters teaching around the state. And so we've gone to a lot of the smaller communities around the state and passed along a lot of the information that was passed along to us, which, at the end of the day is a good thing for the Wichita Fire Department. It shows that the Wichita Fire Department has members that care about the fire service in the state of Kansas and around the region. And it shows that we are not only dedicated to serving our citizens, but we're dedicated to serving other firefighters around the region and making sure they're properly prepared to serve their citizens.
It's actually turned into be a pretty good recruiting tool for the Wichita Fire Department, as well as our 6th year. I can't think of a recruit class in the last 5 years we've had where I haven't seen somebody that's attended the Wichita HoT. They came to Wichita HoT, was excited about what we do, excited about what we're about, and applied and ended up getting on. And some of those people have turned into some of our better firefighters. because of that, they're excited about it and decide to apply and turn out to be a good recruiting tool for us.
Both of you mentioned Fools of Oz. Can you elaborate a little bit, explain where Fools of Oz plays into Wichita HoT?
Yeah, the Wichita Metro Area Fools of Oz is our local chapter based off the Fools International. Fools stands for the Fraternal Order of Leatherheads, kind of paying homage to the leather fire helmets worn in the fire service since the 1850s. Started by a group of firemen that were retired. You notice that they kept going to training events. They see the same people over and over again, kind of got to be buddies with each other and decided that they'd kind of create an organization based on promoting training, tradition, and brotherhood. It's a national, there's chapters all the United States. We're just the one for this area. As far as the Wichita Metro Area Fools of Oz go, we have a group of people that basically volunteer their time. We go to classes, bring information back here. We volunteer for things like the Wichita HoT, and they also instruct all over the state and outside of the state, usually for free. We basically find departments that, like Mark said, don't have a training budget. They'll contact us. They want to put on a class on engine company or forcible entry. We call around, see if we can find some other members that are willing to go for free, and we drive down there and put the class on and basically give them something, some decent training, and we don't have to spend any money. So we've been as far as Nashville, Tennessee, Rogers, Arkansas, Oklahoma City, as well as all over the state of Kansas instructing.
Sounds like you guys do a lot of paying forward then.
Yes.
Try.
If I wanted to sign up for HoT, how would I go about doing that?
We have a website set up. It's www.wichitahot.com, and on that website you will find that it will list all of the hands-on classes we're offering this year, as well as the breakout classes that we're offering and the instructor bios. And from that website there's a link to registration, and when you click on that link it will take you to a page, and all you have to do is select whether or not you want a hands-on class, which is the 2-day package, or if you just want to attend the lectures on Saturday, there is a selection for that. And it's a real simple, easy process. You select what you want, fill out the information, register, pay online. It's pretty easy.
What about the dates for HoT this year and the location?
September 22nd and 23rd this year. It's a Saturday, Sunday. We actually do on-site registration, and we will start that on Friday the 21st at our Wichita Regional Training Center over off of 31st and Oliver. And I believe Friday night's registration starts at 5 o'clock and runs till, I want to say 8 o'clock. And then, or you can show up Saturday morning and try to register on site. But realistically, registering online is the easiest thing to do because it gives us an idea of how many students we have in each class so we can prepare appropriately.
And realistically, there is a class limit. Especially in the hands-on stuff. The classroom stuff's not as big a deal, but in order to keep the student-to-instructor ratios the way we need them for safety, most of the classes are limited to 20 and 24 people. And the popular classes, the more exotic the class, the earlier it fills up. So if you wait till that day of, there's a decent chance that some of the classes may be closed. But the lecture stuff should still be open for everybody.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today. This concludes this episode of Burning Issues. Remember, Wichita firefighters are highly trained professionals who are your friends and neighbors. We are Wichita's bravest, serving you 24 hours a day, every day.